we are going to be discussing in our lovely podcast is mental issues in school systems in today's society, which I think we can all agree we all need help. But specifically in recent years, I think it's really interesting how much students have been more vocal. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with whatever you said now. And also, as most of us know, college can be stressful, and people deal with anxiety in all different aspects of life. But most students have a hard time having to go to college. Students can easily get anxious, trying to go to school, to work, communicating with their friends and family while trying to figure out the rest of their lives. Anxiety disorder that's also developed over time of dealing with so much stress in their lives.
That's really good. I'm gonna piggyback off that a little bit if you don't mind. But at the very end, you pointed out how most students deal with so much stress because of their everyday lives and, school. School is very stressful. So, specifically for college, do you guys remember when you were first coming into college? Like, the process of getting into this school?
I believe that everyone had so much stress and anxiety throughout the process of, getting to know things and getting to know people around them. So I definitely agree with you.
And getting into the school, you don't know which one you applied is going to accept you. I, for
Yes.
one, remember, pacing the floor. You're waiting for the mail to come in or that email to come in, and you're praying and hoping, okay, is this it? Did I get in?
Yeah,
Yes.
the pressure is so on. It's filled with anxiety and stress, and you think it's gonna be easy, but once you get a rejection letter, it's what are you gonna do now? I think we all got
Were do you guys feel that you guys kind of were stunted educationally due to COVID hitting? Because for me, I was in my senior year when COVID hit, so I was especially anxiety ridden with that because I'm like, oh my god, my entire life was just turned upside down. Senior year, that's supposed to be the best year of high school, right? And COVID just hits, and you're trying to apply to colleges and you're trying to graduate, but there's this huge worldwide hurdle.
Lots of people, they had different maybe mental issues because of COVID. Students and even teachers, they were supposed to stay at home, and they didn't have that communication that they had before.
I was actually just reading an article, sorry to interrupt you, but somebody pointed out that I think is a really nice phrase. They said that COVID didn't cause the mental issues, but what it did was highlight those who needed it. They unmasked those who needed it the most.
Interesting. That makes so much sense.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are people that actually enjoyed time staying home because they're not as comfortable with people around them and
introverts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and the people that needed most attention from people and they actually didn't get that during the
family members that are so used to going out and being social and they have so many friends once they were at first they liked it and they were enjoying it, but then months started passing and it really just started killing them. They're I want to leave, I'm going crazy, I need to see my friends, I need to talk to people, it affected them heavy. It took a while for me to affect me because I was just at this point I'm getting really really bored, but for them you can tell by their actions and their attitude and their personality just started changing. They started looking depressed, they just looked miserable.
Yeah.
And that's how you know they really just need to be social, they need to get out there. So
you're
honestly,
absolutely right, because people are different. Some people are totally okay. For me, I for one was great through it. It also has to do with the environment of your home.
That's so true.
I am in a family of 7 people.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so 7 people. My dad was super crazy when COVID hit. Like, he was the guy that's like stocking up on the water and the toilet paper. Yeah, remember that crisis?
That still didn't make sense to me. How like all the
I
toilet
know.
paper.
All the like out of everything that
But you
was
still
gone.
did that, right? Because
Yeah.
I literally I went to the store. I was like, why everyone is buying it? But I still would buy like a
Yeah.
pack of.
You see
know.
people with literally like stacked to the freaking ceiling,
Yeah.
just toilet paper. I'm
At
like,
the time, I
why?
was working, so we had to literally put up signs saying you're only allowed to buy one.
It's
Because it got to the
crazy.
point where they just wanted to take everything.
I know, because people are like, this is it, this is the end.
Yeah.
Or my dad was not to that extent. He did like buy in bulk, so like we definitely took a lot of trips to Costco. But we lasted pretty far into the pandemic, now that I think about it, because he stocked up so much. But like I said, I was pretty much fine for the most part during the pandemic, because I'm an introvert. I don't like going outside anyway. I like to be cuddled up in my under my blanket, just watching Netflix or whatever, doing my own thing. My sister, however, she also goes to the school, is very much a social butterfly. Like, she is the girl that's always at every scene. All right, any parties, all right, any get-togethers, and anything, she will be there. All right, if it's a social event, she has to be there.
Yes.
So the pandemic was specifically tough on her. Like you were saying about your cousins, how eventually they were like, I need to get out. That's how she felt. She felt, I think the way she described it was, she felt trapped. Like she was stuck in a cage and she needed to get out, or she was like going to snap.
Yeah, that's how it really was, and especially like they said it was just gonna last 2 weeks, and then
I
lasted
know,
like 2
everybody
years.
thinking we're just like, oh yeah, 2 weeks off of school. No.
So that takes a lot on people, especially since like people weren't able to do like basically anything.
Mhm.
Everything was closing.
Exactly.
You know,
like I
you
said
couldn't
before,
enjoy
like
anything anymore.
like I said before, senior year is supposed to be like the big year of high school, and it's
No
supposed
graduation
to be
or
this, yeah,
anything.
no
Mhm.
nothing.
No prom, nothing. So that took.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I, for one, my graduation, the way they had to do it was, I'm never gonna forget it, because it was like the most, honestly, it was kind of disappointing. But they had a cardboard sign, like they still had the money from the prom that we didn't get, from the celebration stuff for the actual graduation. They had plenty of money left over to make this graduation as best as they can with what they were given the pandemic. Cardboard sign attached to a cone saying graduation that way, like pointing wherever the arrow was pointing. And you took your vehicle, you drove into the stadium. Only the graduate gets out, so you can't take a picture with your family, nothing like that. There was like this big wall that said like 2020, all right, because that's the year that I was graduating. Only the graduate was allowed to get out. They gave me my degree, and they said, okay, you can go up there, away from everybody else, go up to the big, cold wall, and you can have a picture. One picture, and then you're
Yeah,
done.
I mean, it
then you
sounds
leave.
depressing. It
Yeah.
sounds
Then
depressing.
you get back
That's
in your
how it
car,
was.
and you walk out. That's it.
Yeah, my cousin had to
No celebration.
graduate without any of the family.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't even see her like from afar. Like she had to go alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Yes.
like it was so heartbreaking.
My
No
family,
one
literally, nobody else was allowed to get out of that car. My mom's like, oh, I want to take pictures. They told my mom that she had to take pictures from inside the car.
Yeah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was supposed to be like the big moment
Yeah.
for your graduate child that's graduating. You guys remember being fully online for your first, I think it was for our first year in college. My first semester was fully virtual.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's
was
how it
in my
was.
basement in front of a computer for like 6 hours
The
straight.
transition was just it was like exciting, but then at some point it just kind of got like depressing because I wasn't learning anything.
Exactly.
Like I'm like honestly.
You feel detached.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, like I can bowl and
Yes,
like,
it's
you know,
hard
make
to
everything
focus.
easy. But then the time that we finally would get back to school, I'm just like, but what did I learn? Like, how can I say like I learned this? Like that's what's one thing that I hated.
So you
about
agree
online.
that you felt mentally, educationally stunted?
Yeah,
Of course.
like I don't remember anything that I learned.
I don't either.
Like that's
None of
because
it.
I think we
even
all
now.
took advantage.
I don't think
you
it's
know?
good for us to admit that, but
Yeah, we all took advantage. You know, it was online. We're like, oh, the teacher won't see me. Like I want to,
Yeah, like, I'm
not
not
pay
out.
attention. Some people were falling asleep with the camera open too. Like
I know.
people-
I had like 2 3-hour classes back to back, and I would be fighting, and my parents would be coming down stairs, like my basement's like a little studio apartment. So I'm in my class down there. They come down because they gotta get something from the fridge, and my mom sees like I'm nodding off, like I'm about to fall out of my chair, and she was like, "Oh God."
I took advantage when professors didn't care if the camera was off. It was
Me too. I was like, I'm out.
like, but that's the problem. Like,
But
I
here's the
loved
thing.
it, but then
Like it was
It was
good
just-
at first, like it was interesting at first, but then as time went on, it really was not a good
'cause
idea
I think we
to
all
keep
knew at
them
some
on for
point we
so
were gonna
long.
jump right back into school, and what can we
Not
say? we were?
necessarily. I
Yeah.
felt like this was gonna be the new normal, if I'm being honest.
Honestly, I knew because people were going crazy, and the
Mhm.
government was trying to
Yeah.
get us back on track,
Mm-hmm.
and they were trying to make everything normal again. Like people, once the vaccination came, they were taking like people forgot about the mask, even though it was still
I
mandatory.
mean, there were still people that were
You know?
afraid and
Yeah.
anxious, but I think they
Some
were
people
just
still
staying
are.
home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were
But
just
then-
staying home and trying not to, communicate with people that don't
Mhm.
have a mask on. Or
Yeah.
If you noticed, there was still a lot of like once the vaccination came, a lot of people just stopped caring. Like they wanted everything to go back to normal so
Mhm.
fast. So I just knew like they were gonna eventually just throw us back into school to get
Mhm.
things going.
And they
the way it
expected
was.
us to just jump right back in, when unfortunately that isn't the case. Like you said before, you felt educationally stunted, and then you were thrown back into the classroom, and you're like, wait a minute. See, now I've been doing it this way for X amount of time, and you expect me to just jump back into this different way of doing stuff. Like, it's not going to click right away. And unfortunately, the school systems didn't understand that. They expected the students to just, I can't snap, click right back into it.
I love our podcast.
Honestly, isn't it great? But here's my question for you guys. If it was so difficult for us to jump back in, how do you think it was for the kids?
I think they were excited.
No.
I think a lot of kids had to be excited. My little sister was excited. She hated it, but at the same
Coming
time,
back to school.
she was excited
Of
because
course,
like
excited, yeah.
you know, like at some point they need to socialize. Like
No,
kids
no.
need to.
No, you're absolutely right.
For the
I-
developmental
Yeah.
matter.
But
Mhm.
because for almost a year of schooling, they lost that. Especially the
Sure.
younger students, younger, like elementary level kids.
Oh, that's
The elementary level, that is where you start developing your social skills in
Mhm.
elementary school. That is when we as humans, like our brains start like functioning and doing things on our own, where we don't need mom and dad so
Mhm.
much.
Oh yeah, I get what
So,
you're talking about.
This whole year where you force these kids to sit in front of a screen
Mhm.
all day. How long is a normal school day? Like 8 hours?
Mhm.
Yeah, roughly 8 hours or
Yeah.
so. For 8 hours, they had to sit in front of their computers, all right? And they couldn't, even though they're surrounded by everything that's at home, they're surrounded by their toys, their beds, their blanket. Like, they didn't have to really get dressed in the morning. So all
Pretty
of
sure,
these
yes. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure they had issue with attachment. So they
attachment,
wouldn't-
yes. Now, mom is right next to me whenever I'm doing my
Mhm.
work. Mom's always helping me with my work now. Mom is the one that's waking me up in the morning and like telling me I gotta get on my Zoom.
Mhm.
And now you threw these kids back into a classroom and you expect them to, one, be quiet, behave themselves. You expect them to know how to keep their hands to themselves when they were home. So basically, if you're let's say this is your phone or whatever, if we're partners in an art project and I'm like, oh, and then you're like, can you give me my phone back? It's like, no, I want it.
Yeah.
They don't know anymore. They don't know how to socialize. Or if I say, hey, can I borrow this? And then you snatch it back from me. If you're like, no, that's mine.
Yeah.
Kids aren't learning how to share because everything is theirs. These kids have been, unfortunately, their mental growth has been stunted by this just 1 year of being in the pandemic.
Mhm.
1 year of online schooling has done so much damage. Academically, right now I think in New Jersey, math SAT scores have hit an all-time low. Reading is also low, but math took the biggest hit in the scores on all levels.
Makes sense.
So you guys can listen to our podcast in the next episode.